the charges in the case against Jake Retzlaff have been dropped, and they are no longer going forward. However, he is transferring from BYU, and this happened kind of middle of last week, so we didn't get it into the show, but he's deciding to transfer because he was kicked out of school because of the student conduct policy, which involves, wait for it, premarital relations on campus, which, Stephen, I just can't believe that happens on a college campus in America in 2025. I, for one, am appalled.
Yeah, it is the honor code at BYU, though. So, it's part of
it. You better kick every single player on that team off the team. Then,
I guess he got caught is the problem here for BYU.
Sounds like he might have done more than that, but
right. So he was facing basically a suspension for almost like over half the season. So the transfer makes a ton of sense here. So I think the question is, like, how does it hurt BYU? And I think, first of all, it's worth taking into account. They have 3 quarterbacks. McKay Hillstead, who's played at Utah State, he transferred in. Trayson Bourget, who played at Western Michigan, he's also started some games. And they have Bear Bachmeier on the all-name team for sure, but he transferred in from Stanford. So they have 3 transfers vying for the starting job. 2 were there last season, and Bachmeier just arrived.
And they just land like the highest rated recruit in the country or something like that for 2 years from now or whatever it is.
Yes, that is a good point. So Ryder Lyons is coming in, but it's not next year. He's going on an LDS mission, so he will be there in 2027. So they have a little bit of quarterback uncertainty. I think BYU can probably get good quarterback play out of somebody here. I think in general, though, like we talk about the margins in the Big 12 and how tight it is. If you thought BYU was probably a top 5 to 6 team in the conference, I think they're a lot closer to like that 8, 9, 10 level now. I think that's just the clustering, of these conferences of the Big 12 with so many close games. It hurts them at the margins. I still think they're going to be a bowl team, but I think it definitely hurts in the big picture.
Oh, all the people that had them projected preseason top 10, top 15, top 20, which we kind of like chuckled at because we have them, I think, at number 30. This was with Jake Retzlaff. We have him at number 30 in our rankings. So certainly we feel like, honestly, not the way we want to go about feeling vindicated, but it is sort of like we feel like, they're definitely closer to, 6, 7, 8 wins than they were repeating last year. I will say, though, I don't think they're in that much of a different situation than they were at this time last year.
That's
right?
True.
Like they came into last year with some questions and some question marks and some good options and some interesting, and they got good quarterback play and developed a guy, and he turned into a pretty good player. And so, they've got some talent on the roster. We'll see what happens. They're not going to bottom out or anything because of this, but they're, they are not repeating last year, but I don't think they were doing that with Retzlaff, frankly. So
it was always going to be hard to replicate the 29 gained turnovers. That's pretty fortunate. It's hard to do that from year to year. Yep. Hard to win close games in the Big 12. To your point, I don't expect them to bottom out, but I do think we've seen their win total in Vegas and the sports books has dropped, I think, to like 6.5, 7. That seems maybe a touch low, but I don't think their Big 12 title hopes weren't necessarily just riding on Jake Retzlaff. I think there's a good team and a good core there, which is why I think they can overcome that. I would not consider them a Big 12 title contender at this point.
No. What other news we got? We got some injuries, and the Pac-12 finally adds Texas State. What else we got?
Yeah, so the Pac-12 officially added Texas State before the 4th of July. They are, the 8th football member of the Pac-12. Some rumblings out there that they may look at a 9th football member, and some reports have indicated could be just a football-only school. So perhaps this is Memphis. Rice, UTSA has been mentioned as well. So still out there with expansion. The Sun Belt still looking for a 14th member or deciding to play with 13 members for now. One big piece of injury news we did see over the 4th of July weekend was Notre Dame offensive lineman Charles Jagusa, and he was supposed to be the starter at tackle last year, got hurt in the preseason, missed most of the year, came back in the playoff and played pretty well. He was probably going to start at guard for Notre Dame. He had an arm injury on a UTV, so he's out indefinitely. I think it's a pretty big loss for Notre Dame. Can they overcome that? Their offensive line, I think it's the best in the country coming into the year. Do think it's a bit of a setback, and it sounds like he'll be back at some point, but maybe not early in
What
the
what
year.
kind of an arm injury?
A fractured arm to repair
Ooh.
a fractured bone. Sorry, so a fractured bone in
Yikes.
his arm.
Yikes. Well, those are not like those will heal quickly, but bones actually heal fairly quickly. So, if it's Tommy John surgery, that's very different than when I suppose an all-terrain vehicle probably flips over and lands on top of you. That would be my, or you got thrown off of it and maybe landed hard on something like that. Just kids, be safe out there. Yeah. So, how many people have injured off Notre Dame's starting like offense already? Like, aren't there a couple already?
I think there's like 2. Yeah,
Before camp's even open?
yeah. The interesting thing about that is if you if you think about Notre Dame's offensive line, they lost Rocco Spindler to Nebraska, Pat Coogan transferred to Indiana, and Sam Pendleton transferred to Tennessee. So they've lost 3 potential guys who could have started or played in depth roles, and they're still maybe the best offensive line in college football. I think that says a lot about how good they feel about their starting 5, that they could lose a couple guys and maybe even Jagusa for a while and still have a good offensive line. So just another reason to like the Fighting Irish's chances again this year.
Or a reason to be concerned if
True.
they keep losing players. All right.